What's up, MTG Arena fans? I'm Mason Ortiz, and this is my channel, MTG Budget Brew. Normally, I build budget decks and we play with them, but today is different. I'm trying something new with this video. Today is February 7th, and that means that Phyrexia All Will Be One has just been released, and I want to do a pack opening, is what I want to do. It's something that I think gets lost in Arena, because when you open packs on Arena, you can do it really fast, and you don't really have to read all the cards. You're probably not that interested in reading all the cards, right? Especially when you open multiple packs at once, right? It just shows you the rare that you got for that pack. And I wanted to open packs, and I want to open them up slowly and discuss the cards a little bit. I haven't looked at a lot of the spoilers. I haven't looked at a lot of the set. And so I think it will be exciting to, take a look at all the new cards and kind of experience them for the first time. So if that interests you, I hope you'll stay. And let's see, if I come over to packs right now, we've got a decent amount to open. We've got 10 golden packs that I don't really care about. These we're going to open up really fast. But then we have 100 Phyrexia All Will Be One packs. Now the beginning is probably going to be pretty slow, because we're going to start, skimming over a bunch of the new cards. But as we get further into the packs, we'll see a lot more repeats, and then, start going through a little bit faster. So let's start with the 10 golden packs. Let's pop these bad boys open. Yeah, see, look at this. I don't even remember how many cards are in a pack. It's probably like 10. So really, we just went through like 100 cards in a single click. And here we are. We can just skim over, the rares. We did actually get a Phyrexia one, which is surprising. We got Capricious Hellraiser, 3 and 3 red for 4/4 Phyrexian Dragon. Spell costs 3 less to cast if you have 9 or more cards in your graveyard. That's neat. It's flying. When enters the battlefield, exile 3 cards at random from a graveyard. Choose a non-creature, non-land card from among them and copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. That's pretty neat. But yeah, look how quickly we went through 10 packs. It was like it was nothing. Absolutely like it was nothing. And I did take note of my wild cards before this, because this is something that I want to track. Because for me, the common and uncommon wild cards, I blow through them really fast. You can see I have 113 rare wild cards, because I'm a budget player. I don't really care about the rares. I'm surprised by how little mythic rares I have still, though. I have crafted a few for decks, but for my decks, I only use a total of 4 rare/mythic cards total, and it's very rare that my deck is a full playset of mythic rare cards. So I'm really excited to check out the new commons and uncommons, really. And then see, I don't know, how many wild cards we get. Now, I do have a deck tracker, and it's Untapped. And it does also track, I'm going to pull this up over here. It does also track your collection for you, which is really nice. However, since today is the first day of new Phyrexia being out, I don't think Untapped is updated already to include tracking new Phyrexia. Because I was just trying to play ranked for our free-to-play climb to mythic, and it wasn't tracking my games, which is a bit unfortunate. Hopefully by tomorrow, everything will be good. But if you take a look here, I have this set for unique cards. So if I have at least one card in a set, it'll show up here. And my total collection progress is 70.3%. So out of the 7,858 unique cards on Arena, this is pre-Phyrexia, I had 5,528. And we take a look, percentage-wise, that's a pretty good percentage. Like, Brothers War is almost closed out. I haven't closed out any. I don't have 100% of any set. My closest, though, is Dominaria United. 99.6% of the unique cards. I am missing one. And it looks like it's one multicolor card. We're going to take a look real quick to see what that one card is. But then, down here, we got like 89%, 93. Who cares about the anthologies? Get out of here. Alchemy, get out of here. Kamigawa 83, Innistrad 76.7. So I'll try my best to see what the percentage is after we open 100 packs. See how much of a set that gets you. But if I don't get around to putting it into the video, I will try to at least add it in the description or something. Because for me to add this onto the video would require me to edit the video and then export it again, which is gonna be a lot longer in the process. But maybe I'll do it. We'll see. I mean, you guys will find out. It'll either be in the description below, which you can check out right now, or I will add it at the very end of this video, and you'll get to see the collection progress. Again, this is all banking on whether or not I want to get the video out today or if I'm willing to wait until tomorrow, and then hopefully Untapped is tracking it for tomorrow, and I can, show the collection progress. But I kind of really want to get this out today. We'll see, we'll see. All right, enough talking though. So I need to make sure that I don't click open 10. I have to click these packs individually. Let's see the first pack. And here we are, a rare Phyrexian Arena. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card, lose 1 life. Pretty good card. All right. Paladin of Predation, 5 and 2 green for a 6/7 Phyrexian Knight with Toxic 6. Can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less. Let's see, Watchful Blister Zoa, 4 and 2 blue for 4/4 Phyrexian Jellyfish with Flying. When it enters the battlefield with an oil counter on it. When it dies, draw cards equal to the number of oil counters on it. Okay, that's interesting. Aspirant's Ascent, 1 blue for an instant. Until end of turn, target creature gets +1/+3 and gains Flying and Toxic 1. Alright. Branch Blight Stalker, 1 in green for a 3/1 Phyrexian Elf Scout with Toxic 2. Pestilent Siphoner, 1 in a black for 1/1 Phyrexian Insect, Flying Toxic 1. Malcator's Watcher, 1 in a blue for 1/1 Phyrexian Drone, Flying Vigilance. When it dies, draw a card. And Barbed Batterfist, 1 in a red with 4 Mirrodin. 4 Mirrodin says, when this equipment enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 red rebel creature token, then attach this to it. Equip creature gets +1/-1, equip for 1. So that's interesting. Let's see. Do any of these really stand out to me? Not particularly. I'm thinking about what cards I've used a lot of the, commons and uncommons that I've used multiple times for decks and stuff that I see a lot of, right? I don't know that I see myself necessarily using a lot of these. I kind of like the Watcher. I'm not much of a blue player, I'm not going to lie. But the Watcher, it's not bad. 1/1 Flying Vigilance, and when it dies, draw a card. That's pretty good. Eventually, probably today, I will make a Toxic deck. So this guy's not bad, kind of pricey. But Toxic 6 is pretty nuts. And you know what? If you go mono green ramp, yeah, it'd be pretty easy to get this guy out. If you're running a few protection spells, you're chilling, and then a few things to give it trample, that Toxic 6 is a lot. That's a lot of Toxic. And Phyrexian Arena, it's okay as a rare. Again, I don't care about the rares as much. However, I will still be looking out for rares that I want to build a deck around. If I see a rare card that I think is enough to carry a deck, then I'll try to build around it in the future. I'm definitely not much of a Planeswalker player. But here we have Nahiri the Unforgiving. 1 a red. What do I call that? There's a term for a hybrid mana and then a white. But the hybrid is Phyrexian. So I'll call it Phyrexian hybrid. And then a white. Let's see. 5 loyalty. It's got completed. If life was paid. Oh, this is very interesting. If life was paid, this Planeswalker enters with 2 fewer loyalty counters. I didn't know that. That's pretty interesting. That is an interesting way to try to balance this. Okay, it's +1 until your next turn. Up to 1 target creature attacks a player each combat if able. +1, the other +1. Discard a card, then draw a card. Seems fine. 0, exile target creature equipment card with mana value less than Nahiri's loyalty from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of it. That token gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. That, I think, is strong. That 0, I think, could be pretty strong. Red does have some pretty decent ways to get things into the graveyard with discard/draw cards, Let's see. Against all odds, 3 and a white for a sorcery. Choose 1, exile target artifact or creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. So a blink effect. Return target artifact. Oh, yeah, it's choose 1 or both. And then return target artifact or creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Interesting. I like this. This in a blink deck would be pretty cool. Yeah, because I have a Soul Herder deck. Soul Herder's a 3-drop, so this could return it from the graveyard, and it has another blink effect, which is pretty cool. It's the whole point of the deck. Against all odds. I like that one. And I haven't made a full-length Soul Herder video or deck, so that might make its way into it. So that's pretty neat. Furnace Punisher, 2 in red for a 3/3 Phyrexian warrior with menace. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, it deals 2 damage to that player unless they control 2 or more basic lands. Weird. Oh, you know what? I like it though. I actually like this one a lot. 3 mana, 3/3 Menace is pretty good, right? That's a pretty solid body for mana cost. And at the beginning of each player's upkeep, it'll deal 2 damage to that player unless they control 2 or more basic lands. I'm a budget player. I don't get to play with the fancy lands. I even rarely use tap lands because they're slow. But if I'm playing a deck that doesn't have a lot of 1-drops, I will run tap lands. Again, if it's a deck that's like 2 colors. I'll run the tap lands so that hopefully on turn 1 I can play the tap land. My mana will be fine from there out. And then I can just continue playing basic lands. This will punish all the people who absolutely load up their decks with the rare lands, the tap lands, the pain lands, you know, whatever shock lands they got, whatever other fancy lands they got. That's nice. I actually like that. I'm probably going to use this in the deck. I will find a way. I will find a good deck to use it in. All right, next, Experimental Augury. 1 in the blue for an instant. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Proliferate. That's just really good. That's just really good. It's almost like, shit. There's a 2-drop card. Impulse. I think it's Impulse that I'm trying to think of. Impulse lets you look at the top 4, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Impulse is 1 in a blue instant. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put 1 into your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This, oh shit, there went all our cards. My bad. But that card is very comparable to Impulse. But because of all the toxic and stuff going on, the fact that you proliferate instead of looking 1 card deeper, it seems like a fair trade-off. Pick up some more wild cards. That's sick. I'm going to try to not click again and mess this up. Let's see. So, Norn's Wellspring. That's my bad, guys. I'm sure whatever cards were there, they were commons, uncommons. I'm sure we'll see them again. Norn's Wellspring. 1 in a white for an artifact. Whenever a creature you control dies, scry and put an oil counter on it. 1 tap it, remove 2 oil counters from it, draw a card. That's okay. If the bottom ability dealt damage like equal to the number of oil counters, this could be a card that I would build around and could use as a win con. Between some kind of like aristocrat deck, right? Even then, it's still pretty good in an aristocrat deck. You know, because maybe you're playing like Cat Oven. Your cat's going to die a lot. You'll bring it back. It'll keep getting counters on here. You're going to continue to scry. And pay 1, tap this, remove 2 oil counters, draw a card. It's not bad. You'd be drawing pretty much every single turn for 1 mana. That's pretty good. It's not bad. That could go in a Cat Oven deck. In fact, maybe I'll do that. Because I don't have a Cat Oven deck. Let's see. Incubation Sac. Pretty gross looking. 1 green for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield with 3 oil counters on it. You can pay 4 mana, tap it, remove an oil counter from Incubation Sac. Create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. Activate only as a sorcery. That's a lot of mana. However, I want to look up... damn. Biomancer's Familiar. Damn, never mind. I was going to say, that's a lot of mana to activate it. And I was trying to think of Biomancer's Familiar, which says... we'll leave it right there. Activated abilities of creatures you control cost 2 less to activate. I thought it was, like any permanence. That's why I wanted to look it up. That would be really good. If you have a way to reduce that cost, I could see it being really good. And I'm sure there has to be some card that we have available to us on Arena that reduces the cost of activated abilities, similar to Biomancer's Familiar. But yeah, if you can find a way to use that for an artifact, it'd be really good. Okay, so I can't click again, otherwise it'll get rid of it. But I also can't hover the card properly to enlarge it. So, Furnace Skull Bomb, 1 mana for an artifact. Oh yeah, they brought it back a full set of Skull Bombs. And Skull Bombs, they're pretty neat. 1 mana for an artifact, you can pay 1, sack it, draw a card. If you pay 1 in a red and sack it, you can put 2 oil counters on target artifact or creature you control, then draw a card. Activate only as a sorcery. Then we got another wild card. Flensing Raptor. It's pretty good. I like it. 2 and a white for a 2/2 Phyrexian Bird of Flying and Toxic 1. When enters the battlefield, another target creature you control with Toxic gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. That's really strong. That one's a really good one. I will probably be using this if I make a Toxic deck. Yeah, because giving something like that first green creature that we saw with Toxic 6 that can't be blocked with creatures by creatures with power 2 or less, giving that flying on the turn that you play this, like, dude, that'd be nuts. Let's see. 4/4 Mirror Kinsmith. 3/1. Where's the battlefield? You may search your library for a mirror card, reveal it, put in your hand, then shuffle. Interesting. It seems pretty costly mana-wise, but maybe there's some really, really good mirror card in the set that you want to tutor for. Yeah, 4 mana, 3/1 tutor for a mirror. It seems pretty costly. If it was 3 mana, I would like it more. Let's see. Volshock Splitter, 3 in a red, has for mirrored in again. So it creates a 2/2 token and attaches to it. Equipped creature gets +2/+0, equipped for 2 in a red. Okay. Only 3 packs in. Again, I'll try to go through this a little bit faster.
You won't stop me.
Kaido, Dancing Shadow, 2, a blue, and a black. Starts with 3 loyalty. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you may return one of them to its owner's hand. If you do, you may activate loyalty abilities of Kaido twice this turn rather than only once. That's pretty neat. +1, up to 1 target creature can attack or block until your next turn. 0 mana, draw a card. Damn, so you can just draw 2 cards for free. And then -2, create a 2/2 colorless drone artifact creature token with Death Touch. And when this creature leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Yo, this is... Kaido's sick. I'm not a Planeswalker player normally, but this Kaido, I want to use him. That's pretty nuts. That's pretty nuts. Again, I just make a ninja deck around him. Done. Get a bunch of unblockable creatures, maybe ninjutsu some stuff. Done. Let's see. Noxious Assault. 3 and 2 greens for sorcery. Creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. Whenever a creature blocks this turn, its controller gets a poison counter. 5 mana is kind of a lot. That's interesting. Something that's really interesting about this set, and the set's still very new, right? And I don't know how I feel about it yet. It's very interesting trying to balance out your deck between damage and toxic to get the poison counters. And making your opponent have to care about both seems strong, I think. You know? Because making your opponent worry about both should benefit you. But if you're building your deck around both, I feel like it weakens your deck. I think Toxic brings a weird aspect to the game. You know, there's not a lot of decks that were running poison counters before this. Like, the only deck that I could think of is, like, a Finn the Fangbearer deck. And, again, Noxious Assault gives your creatures +2/+2, right? So, it buffs up... It buffs up your creatures, so the damage that they'll connect for will be more. But it is also incentivizing your opponent to block your creatures, but in return they get the poison counters. So at that point, I don't know which way you're trying to win. And maybe just every deck in Standard now is just going to have an alternate win con of the Toxics. Of Toxic. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I really like the way it splits up your deck. Let's see. Tamio's Immobilizer. 3 in a blue for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield with 4 oil counters on it. Tap, remove an oil counter from it, and then tap target artifact or creature. It seems like a lot of mana to tap down a creature. But, I don't know. Man, yeah, we haven't seen a lot of cards yet. Maybe there's some that really want other permanents in your deck on your battlefield to have oil counters. And so maybe the 4 oil counters provide some buff to another creature as well. If that's the case, then they'd be really good. You know, it's a lot of oil counters, and then you can remove a blocker. So that's pretty cool. Or you can even tap down target artifact. That might be relevant. There might be some crazy nuts artifacts that we're going to see later that need to be tapped down to be activated. Dune Mover, 2 mana for a 2/1 Toxic 1. When it's battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. If it put into your hand, that'd be really good, but I still don't hate it. Yeah, it seems like pretty decent value for 2 mana. I don't think it'll see a lot of play, but it's not a bad card. Not at all a bad card. Excuse me. Free from Flesh. 1 red for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Put 2 oil counters on it. This just seems like a really good buff spell. Again, I don't know what creatures want the oil counters yet, but that's just a good card. It's just a good card. Draw Skull Bomb. 1 mana for an artifact. 1 mana, sack it, draw a card. Pay 2 and a black, sack it. Return target creature card from graveyard to your hand. Draw a card. Activate only as a sorcery. Cool. Sinew Dancer. 1 white for a 1/1 Phyrexian Soldier. You can pay 3 and a white, tap this, and then you get to tap target creature. Or it has Corrupted. Pay a white, tap this. Tap target creature, activates only if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. Okay, so that's what Corrupted is. Corrupted cares about your opponent having 3 or more counters. 3 or more poison counters. And then you get to do this ability for a discounted price. That seems pretty good. That seems pretty decent. But only if you get the poison counters on them. Otherwise, 4 mana to tap down a target creature while also tapping your creature down. Garbage. Plague Nurse. 3 and a green for 3/4 Phyrexian Cleric. Toxic 2. Pay 2 and a green. Each other creature you control toxic gains toxic 1 until end of turn. Activate only once each turn. So that will increase the toxic value of your other creatures. So like if you had 2 of these on the field and you use this ability, it will give the other Plague Nurse rather than having toxic 2, it'll go up to toxic 3 is how that works. All right, next card or next pack. Man, my throat's going to be hurting after today. I just finished recording a video. I'm doing the pack opening here. And then I still need to make a budget brew for today. So yeah, so once I'm done with this video, I'm going to go eat lunch. And then I got to bang out another video. But I'm excited for it. Again, it's going to be, a new Phyrexian kind of deck. It'll be exciting. This is a really good card. Tekuthol Inquiry Dominus. That's how I'm going to say it. 2 and a blue for 3/5 Phyrexian Horror with flying. If you would proliferate twice instead. You can pay 1 mana and then 2 Phyrexian mana in blue. Remove 3 counters from among other artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers you control. Put an indestructible counter on Tekuthol Inquiry Dominus. Okay, so like that blue artifact we were just looking at that enters with 4 counters, with four oil counters, this would be really good. You pay 1 mana, you pay the 4 life, you remove the 3 counters off of that other artifact, and now this has an indestructible counter on it. Like, that's good. I think it's also a 4-drop, so the timing's a little awkward. But this is what I was talking about. This is a creature that cares about the counters that can get buffed by other permanents having counters. That's sick. That's great. Against all odds, we already saw that. Furnace Strider, 4 and a red, 4/5 for a 4/5 Phyrexian Beast. Enters the battlefield, 2 oil counters on it. Remove an oil counter from it. Target creature you control gains haste until end of turn. That's a really good ability. 5 mana is really steep, though, to play out this creature. It's like really steep. That means you're not using it until turn 6. If you're going to go with like a Gruul ramp deck, I like it. You can get this out maybe a turn or 2 early. And then, yeah, by that point, you'll have 5 mana, which means next turn you can play a 6-drop and then give it haste. That doesn't seem terrible. But overall, kind of pricey. Still kind of pricey. Meldweb Curator, 3 and a blue for 3/4 Phyrexian Wizard. When it enters the battlefield, put up to 1 target instant sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. That just seems good. Wizard, great typing. And then, yeah, getting to put a target instant sorcery from your graveyard on top of your library just seems pretty good. If you're running low on gas, maybe you put a draw spell up there. If you need some burn, boom, burn spell up to the top. Maybe you're playing a mill deck, self-mill or something like that. And like there's a spell that you could really use. Boom. There you go. Icarspit Basilisk. I think this artwork looks super dope. That is, yeah. That's something I just want to start. I want to start there. So Icarspit Basilisk. 2 and a green for a 1/3 Phyrexian Basilisk with Death Touch and Toxic 1. Death Touch paired with Toxic seems like it'll be pretty strong. Yeah. Seems pretty strong. Let's see. The Watcher we've already seen. Zealot's Conviction. Bro, you want to talk about awesome artwork. That's some badass artwork. That's the white version of Phyrexian Obliterator. I think it's Phyrexian Vindicator is the name of it. But I'm pretty sure that's that same creature. Killing another creature. Alright, 1 mana though for a flash enchantment. That's pretty good. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1. And it has Corrupted. So as long as the opponent has 3 or more poison counters, enchanted creature gets an additional +1/+0 and has First Strike. Yo, that's sick. That's a good card too. Being able to flash in the First Strike, it's pretty sick. And your creature to get +2/+1, ideally, that's pretty good. Dude, oh my god, look at the Bacillus Shepherd. It also looks badass as fuck. All right, let's flip our rare first. Ooh, a Twilight card. White Sun's Twilight. Pay X and 2 white for sorcery. You gain X life. Create X/1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1. And this creature can't block. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. That's a card. That's a card that I can build around as a win con. And maybe this will be the deck that I make today. A White Sun's Twilight deck. Maybe go with... Ooh. I think I would want to go 2 colors. To try and ramp more. Maybe Selesnya. Maybe Orzhov. Orzhov's pretty good at making treasures. Black is pretty good at making treasures. So yeah, the win con, survive early game. Get out of White Sun's Twilight. Get 10 or more mites out, as many mites as I possibly can. And then, boom, next turn, hopefully swing out to win. Like, that seems pretty sick. Let's see. Charforger. 1, a black and a red for a 2/3 Phyrexian Beast. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature token. Whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on Charforger. Remove 3 oil counters from Charforger. Exile top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. That's a good card. It's good stats for the mana you're putting into it, because it's 3 mana for 3/4 worth of stats. Yeah, you'll start getting the oil counters. And then, I mean, removing 3 oil counters, it seems like a lot to get. But exiling the top card of your library and being able to play it is pretty strong. Let's see. Viral Spawning. 2 and a green for sorcery. Create a 3/3 green Phyrexian Beast creature token with Toxic 1. Dude, that beast looks super dope. I think it's eating something. I'm not entirely sure. But I think it's eating whatever that black goo is. Maybe it's another creature. Well, I mean, we'll see as we continue looking at more artwork. I'll be on the lookout for something that's black with the blue bulbs. But I think it's definitely eating something. Right. And as long as it has corrupted, as long as an opponent has 3 or more poison counters and Viral Spawning is in your graveyard, it has flashback for 2 and a green. That's pretty badass. That's a pretty cool card. Is it good necessarily? I think it's not bad. Yeah. I would probably want to utilize it in some kind of token deck, though, to really get value out of the card. But it seems not bad. Again, pair this with like an Anointed Procession or something. Or I think I heard that there's like a creature version of Anointed Procession. Something like that. So maybe we'll see that card too. In which case, this becomes really good. 3 mana for 2 3/3s, both with Toxic 1. And this has flashback. Sick. Let's see. Annihilating Glare. 1 black for sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, pay 4 or sack an artifact or creature. Destroy a target creature or planeswalker. It's okay. It's pretty good for standard, I would say. But if I were to compare that to like... Bone Shards? Bone Shards is just better. 1 black for sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sack a creature or discard a card. And then you get to destroy target creature or planeswalker. I think having the option to discard a card is better than paying an additional 4 mana. This does let you sacrifice an artifact though, so... I don't know. Depending on the kind of deck you're running, I would maybe use this over Bone Shards in the deck. But I think it's unlikely. Well, you know what? I'm going to call them even. I'm going to say that depending on how you're building your deck, they're equivalent to each other. So that's really good, though. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Destroying planeswalkers, I think, is going to be pretty relevant here in standard and stuff. I'm not a standard player, so I don't really care, but nice. Okay, so I did click there, so I can't click again. Zealot's Conviction, already saw that. Bacillus Shepherd, 3 and 2 white for 3/3. Phyrexian Angel of Flying. When enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1, and they can't block. Seems pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's decent. Let's see. Dross Pits, enters the battlefield tapped. Ooh, I like the new lands that they added. These new tapped lands. Enters the battlefield tap. You can tap it, add 1 of that color. You can pay 1 in that color. Tap, sacrifice this land, draw a card. I like that a lot. I think that's super good. And as a budget player, that excites me a lot because they're commons. And dude, yeah, paying 2 mana, tap sacking to draw a card could be huge depending on what your deck is trying to do. So that's pretty good. Forge Hammer, Centurion. 2 and a red for a 3/2 Phyrexian Warrior. I don't remember if we've seen them already. Whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on it. When this attacks, you may remove 2 oil counters from it. When you do, target creature can't block this turn. That's okay. Yeah, solid. Seems pretty good. If you're going like an oil counter, mono red, tribal deal, seems good. Ooh, this is a good fucking card. This is a really good fucking card. We'll go over that in a second. All right, let's start with Conduit of Worlds. 2 and 2 green for an artifact. You may play lands from your graveyard. Not bad. You tap it, choose target non-land permanent card in your graveyard. If you haven't cast a spell this turn, you may cast that card. If you do, you can't cast additional spells this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. This is interesting. I think someone's going to make some really cool decks with Conduit of Worlds. Hopefully they do, and then I get to steal that deck. Or maybe I'll be the one to make, a budget version of this deck. But it seems cool. Excuse me. Yeah, that's all I got for that one. Tyvar Stand. X and a green for an instant. Target creature you control gets +X/+X and gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. That's really good. I like the flexibility of this card. Because if you pay X equals 0, that's 1 mana. Target creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. That's like Tamio's Safekeeping. Yeah. So that's equivalent to Tamio's Safekeeping, which is 1 green for an instant. Target permanent you control gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. You gain 2 life. But this card is more flexible because, oh man, it doesn't matter. I clicked out of here anyway. But this card is way more flexible because it can both be defensive and offensive. Because if you have a bunch of mana, you just pump it in there and boom, swing with something big. So that's pretty dope. Let's see. Ichorplate Golem, 3 mana for 2/3 Phyrexian Golem. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it has 1 or more oil counters on it, put an oil counter on it. Creatures you control with oil counters on them get +1/+1. That's a great card. I was just talking about trying to make a mono red oil counter deck. That's going in there, 100%. Buffs your entire board. That's sick. And it enters with an additional oil counter on it, right? Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it has 1 or more oil counters on it, put an oil counter on it. Yeah. So everything enters with an additional oil counter. That's fucking sick. That's badass. Vivisurgeon's Insight. This looks good. 3 and 2 blue for a sorcery. Draw 3 cards. Proliferate. It's a little bit pricey. But there is a blue card that can reduce the amount of mana spent for instants of sorcery. Something like that. I think we've already seen it. I don't remember the name of it. But like, if you get a little bit of cost reduction going on this card, I think it becomes really good. That's a lot of gas, and proliferating, again, is going to be huge. Indoctrination Attendant, 3 and a white for 3/4 with Toxic. When it's the battlefield, you may return another permanent you control to its owner's hand. If you do, create a Phyrexian Might. Now, Orthodoxy Enforcer, I did play a pre-release event with the Phyrexian set. And Orthodoxy Enforcer is one of the best cards that I drafted. 3 and a white for a 2/4 Phyrexian Cleric with Vigilance. It gets +2/+0 as long as you control 2 or more artifacts. And there are a lot of good artifacts that you can be running and a lot of good artifact creatures that you can have. So this was good. For instance, your mites. It says, let's see, create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature. So if you have this out in 2 mites, it's a 4/4 with Vigilance, which I think is pretty cool. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe it was just better because I was in a pre-release event. 4 mana, 4/4 Vigilance is like pretty mild. And this doesn't even always have it. Alright, hey, if you're going to do a draft or a pre-release event, Orthodoxy Enforcer is good. In Constructed, maybe not as strong as I thought. Okay, let's see. Blazing Crescendo. I still like it though. Blazing Crescendo, 1 in a red for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+1 until end of turn. Exile top card of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play that card. That's a good one. That's crazy good. That's a good pump spell. And it can get you more gas. And or filter out a land. Like, that's huge. Blazing Crescendo, that's a really good fucking card. That's a really good card. Let's see. Blight Belly Rat. 1 in a black for 2/2 Phyrexian Rat with Toxic 1. When it dies, proliferate. I like that rat. When it dies, proliferate? Dude, that's super easy. I like it. I like the rat. All right, we are now 7 packs in. There's another Kaido, cool. Let's see. Resistance Skywarden. 3 and 2 red for 5/5 Ogre Rebel with Menace and Reach. Menace and Reach, interesting. Man, my throat's starting to hurt already. It's okay. The lack of a better ability is a little disappointing, but it's a fine card. It's good for both defense and offense. Reach is good defensively. Menace, good offensively. It's alright. Let's see. I don't think it'll see a lot of play. But again, for like drafting or something, that's good. That's a big body. You want big bodies when drafting. Let's see. Necrogen Communion, 1 in a black for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature you control. Enchanted creature has Toxic 2. When it dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control. That's pretty good. Yeah, I like that one. That's good. I really like the black defensive cards and like protection cards that bring your creature back to the battlefield. And that's a good one. Giving it Toxic 2, that seems strong. Excuse me. Charge of the Mites. 2 and a white for an instant. Choose 1. Charge of the Mites deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker. Not bad. Excuse me. Or you can create 2 1/1 Phyrexia and Mites. Also not bad. I like the artwork for the Mites. I think they're pretty cool. Common Wildcard. Sick. Love to see it. Copper Long Legs. 1 in a green for a 1/3 Phyrexian Spider with Reach. You can pay 1 in a green to sack it, proliferate. Also seems pretty good. And then we have the red land and the black land. The sphere lands. They are land, tack, spheres. I haven't seen any cards that care about spheres, but I'm sure there's something in here. Because it's interesting that that's their land type. Let's see. Okay, rare wild card. We already saw this guy. Bilious, Skull Dweller. 1 black for 1/1, Death Touch, Toxic 1. That's just good. That's just crazy good value. Yeah. Let's see. A first time seeing Crawling Chorus. 1 white for 1/1 Phyrexian Horror, Toxic 1. When it dies, create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian my artifact creature token with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. 1/1, 1 mana, 1/1 Toxic 1. When it dies, you get a 1/1 Toxic 1. Crazy good. Crazy good value. Probably great in an array. It's going to be great in an Aristocrats deck. Good card. Shrapnel Slinger. 1 in red for a 2/2 Phyrexian Beast. When it enters the battlefield, you may sack a creature. When you do, destroy target artifact and opponent controls. Okay. Okay. Interesting in red. Interesting in red is all I'm thinking. If this was black or white, would be crazy good. Because again, Aristocrats. In red, though. Interesting. Carnivorous Canopy. 2 and a green for a sorcery. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature flying. If that permanent's mana value was 3 or less, proliferate. I like it. Yeah. It's okay. It's maybe a sideboard card if you're running like best of 3s. Mythic wild card. Don't really care about those. Alright, we got 5 new first cards. The land doesn't really count. Titanic Growth. 1 in a green, target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. Seems good. Duelist of Deep Faith. Oh, he's killing a mirror. 1 in a white for a 2/2 Phyrexian Soldier, Toxic 1. As long as it's your turn, Duelist of Deep Faith has first strike. I like it. Yeah, I like it. There's a dungeon card. It's, I think, something adventurer. Hey, Cookie, what are you doing? Sorry, my dog Cookie, she's being silly. She's going through the green screen. Hey, where are you going? You're just doing laps? Doing laps around the green screen? You want to come say hi real quick? Come up. Come up. Oh, there she is. There's my girl, Cookie. Yes. There's an adventurer card. I don't remember its name. It has Death Touch, but as long as it's your turn, it also has first strike. Oop, camera lagged. I saw it that time. And yeah, so I would say that card really annoys the fuck out of me. So, which means it's pretty good. This doesn't have Death Touch. It has Toxic 1. But I like it. 2 mana, 2/2, first strike, toxic 1. It's pretty good. Even if it's only during your turn. Surgical Skullbomb. We haven't seen this one. Follows the same thing, but you can return a target creature to its owner's hand, and then you draw a card. Okay. I don't know how good this one is. This one, I think, seems to be hindered more so than the others we've seen by the fact that you can activate only as a sorcery. If you could activate this at instant speed, then it'd be really good. Your opponent goes to pump their creature, and you're like, ha, that's cute. 2 and a blue. We're going to bounce it back to your hand. So I don't know. I think this is one of the weaker Skull Bombs that we've seen so far. Then we have Mirror Custodian. 3 mana for 2/3 Mirror. When it's battlefield, scry 2. Then each opponent may scry 1. Interesting. That would be a fun commander card. Like in a group hug style deck. I like it. That's a cute card. Competitively viable? I wouldn't say so. Ooh, new one. Ooh. Jeez, look at that artwork. Alright. Drivnod, Carnage Dominus. 3 and 2 black for an 8/3 Phyrexian Horror. Holy shit. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Pay 2 Phyrexian in black. 2 black Phyrexian mana? 2 black Phyrexian mana. Exile 3 creature cards from your graveyard. Put an indestructible counter on Drivnod, Carnage Dominus. Dude, that's a fucking card right there. God damn. I want to build around him. Drivnod, and then that one card where you create X Mites. Yeah, these two are sticking out to me so far as cards I want to build around. I've already seen that one. Alright, Chimney Rabble, 3 and a red for a 3/3. Phyrexian Goblin Warrior with haste when it's battlefield, create a 1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature token. Seems good. And as you can see, in that pack, we only had 2 new first cards. So, we're going to start going through this a lot faster. It looks like right about now we're going to start picking up. Here we've got 3.
This will be quick.
Oh, we had... When did we have a Tyvar? Maybe because I hovered over it, it doesn't show new. But I haven't read this. Tyvar, Jubilant Brawler. 1 a black and a green. Let's see. For a Planeswalker with 3 loyalty. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as those creatures had haste. That's strong as fuck. And a 3 mana with 3 loyalty is pretty good. +1 untap up to 1 target creature. -2, mill 3 cards, then you may return a creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That one's sick. This Tyvar, that's good. Sorry, I saw my camera lag. This Tyvar is just good. Oh, I forgot that I liked Kaido as well. Tamio's Logbook, 2 and a blue for an artifact. You can pay 5 and a blue, tap, draw a card. Ability costs 1 less to cast for each other artifact you control. Okay. Let's see. I have Malcator. Malcator? I don't know which way I want to say it. 2 and a blue for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. Whenever another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, Eye of Malcator. I'm going to go with Malcator. Becomes a 4/4 Phyrexian Eye artifact creature until end of turn. It's okay. It's not something that I would see myself running, but I'm sure there's good uses for it. Prologue 2 Phyresis. 1 in a blue for an instant. Each opponent gets a poison counter, draw a card. That one's crazy good. That's just crazy good. That's it. Done. Waiting for server. Alright. 3 new cards. Ooh, Green Sun's Twilight. Alright, so we got another Twilight. X and a green for a sorcery. Reveal the top X +1 cards of your library. Choose a creature card and or land card from among them. Put those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If X is 5 or more, instead put the chosen cards onto the battlefield or into your hand. And the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. That's neat. So, if X is 5 or more, so you need to pump in a minimum of 6 mana into this. And then you can put a creature just onto the battlefield. I guess there are a few things that you could cheat out. I like the fact, it's okay. It's a pretty decent card. You at least get to look through the top X +1 cards of your library, right? So if you, excuse me, jeez. If you pay X equals 5, that's 6 mana in, you get to look at the top 6 cards, and you maybe get to drop one of your big bombs, like a Vorinclex. So, yeah, it's okay. Let's see. Urabraska's Urabrask's Anointer. 3 in red for a 4/2 Phyrexian Wizard. When enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to any target where X is the number of permanents you control with oil counters on them. That's good. That's really good. That can be a win con. You just build up a board with a ton of oil counters, drop the Anointer. Maybe bounce it and then drop it again. Or just drop 2 in a row. Done. Easy. Find a way to double that ETB. Okay, so that's interesting. That's one I'm going to save for later. Phyrexian Atlas. Badass looking artwork. I love it. It's reminiscent of, I think, Alloy Mirror. Is that the card I'm trying to think of? Let me look it up real quick. Yes, it is Alloy Mirror. So take a look. I know it's harder to see now, but you see like the colors in the background that lit up almost like little suns. Alloy Mirror. It's very similar background. I'm sure there are other cards that have it too, but Alloy Mirror is the one that I could think of. Phyrexian Atlas, pay 3 mana for an artifact, tap, add 1 mana of any color. When it becomes tapped, each opponent who has 3 or more poison counters loses 1 life. That's okay. See, this is what I'm talking about where I don't like that it's splitting things. It's splitting your focus, I think. Because when you tap this, sure, you'll drain them for a life. But you're only going to drain them for a life. It's only going to deal the 1 damage if they already have 3 or more poison counters on them. So are you going to just play the deck until they get 3 poison counters and then hope that turns on the rest of your deck and then you go for damage from there? Or do you just keep going for poison counters, in which case that 1 point of damage is negligible? You know, I don't like the way it's splitting our focus. Let's see. And then Duress is just Duress. 1 black for a sorcery if you don't know it already. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. I hate cards that fuck with your hand. Fuck the rest. Okay. Let's see. Let's flip this. Luca, Bound to Ruin. 2 a red, a Phyrexian, red-green mana, and a green mana. 5 mana has completed, so that is again if life was paid, it enters the battlefield with 2 fewer loyalty counters and starts at 5. +1, add a red and a green. That's strong. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells or activate abilities of creatures. That's good. -1, you create that token. -4 deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and/or players, and/or planeswalkers, not players, where X is the greatest power among creatures you controlled as you activated this ability. Okay. It seems pretty good. Seems pretty decent overall. 4 mana if you don't. So 4 mana if you pay the life, and it'll enter with 3 loyalty counters, and then it'll add 2 more mana that you can use for a creature. It seems pretty solid. Cephalopod Sentry, 2 a white and a blue for a star 5 with flying. Or star 5 Phyrexian squid with flying. Its power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. That seems good. That seems pretty good. I'm sure that can be a pretty big hitter. It makes me think of like Enigma Drake or a Crackling Drake. Yeah, that's what it makes me think of. I already clicked out of it. God damn it. I gotta stop clicking out of it until I finish reading all the cards. Sylvok Battle Chair. Battle Chair. It's funny. There's a little dude sitting there. It's a little hard to tell, but it is a chair with 4 legs. It's just crawling around like a spider. 4 and 2 green for an artifact equipment. Has 4 Mirrodin, so that makes the 2/2 token if I'm not mistaken. Equipped creature gets +4/+4 and has trample. And equip for 5 and 2 green. Jeez, that's steep. That's heavy. That's heavy. That's 6 mana for 6/6 with trample. But then you have the ability to equip it to something else later. It seems just really pricey, really slow. So I don't know about that one. I don't think it's that good. Hex Gold Slash. 1 red for an instant. Deals 2 damage to target creature. If that creature has Toxic, it deals 4 damage to that creature instead. That's going to be a really good card. That's going to see a lot of play. Just as removal. Hex Gold Slash. That's good. Oh, I can click and hover again. Okay, sick. Alright. We've already done 15 packs now. Or this is number 15. Ooh, we got a Phyrexian Obliterator. I'm going to have to make an Obliterator deck. 4 black mana for 5/5 Phyrexian Horror with Trample. Whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. Fucking nasty. It is a very, very nasty card. Minor Misstep. 1 blue for an instant. Counter target spell with mana value 1 or less. Interesting. I could see this being run in a mono blue deck. Maybe. There's probably better counter spells. But I guess we'll have to see how many 1-drops are really being run in the format. And if there's some 1-drop that you really want to counter early, then I could see that getting play. Chrome Prowler. 2 and a blue for a 3/2 Phyrexian cat with flash. When there's a battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls. It's neat. I don't think it's super great, but it's neat. And I like the artwork. Bacillus Skull Bomb. 2 and a white Sacket. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains flying until end of turn. Draw a card. Activate only as a sorcery. It's good. This is a good one. And again, this one doesn't really... I don't think this one has a downside, really, for it being a sorcery. Like the blue one I think is really hindered by the fact that it's only at sorcery speed. But like this is fine. Giving a creature flying during your turn, that's still good. +2/+2 and flying, it's still good. Would it be better at instant speed? Still, yes, because you can surprise your opponent by blocking their flyer. I mean, they would see the Skull Bomb out. They would know if you have mana to use it. But you could at least threaten that. So maybe they don't swing, you know? But again, at sorcery speed, still good. Bone Picker Scourge. 2 and a black for 2/2 Phyrexian Imp with flying and corrupted. So if the corrupted is active, it has Death Touch and Lifelink. So 3 mana, 2/2 flying, Death Touch, Lifelink. Potentially. It's okay. My back is feeling a little stiff. Bloated Contaminator. 2 and a green for 4/4 Phyrexian Beast with Trample. I like that. And Toxic 1. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, proliferates. Yo. This is a good-ass creature. Stat-wise, it's already really good. 3 mana, 4/4 Trample. Sick. But then it has Trample 1. And then when it deals the damage, you get to proliferate. Bloated Contaminator is fucking sick. That's a great-ass fucking card. Rebel Salvo. 2 in red for an instant. Affinity for equipment. That's interesting. Deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker. That permanent loses indestructible to end of turn. That is very interesting. I'm sure there are some, artifact/equipment decks that are going to really like this. Necrosquito. 3 and a black for 0/0 for Phyrexian Insect with flying. When it enters the battlefield with 2 oil counters on it. It gets +1/+1 for each oil counter on it. Whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on Necrosquito. Seems good. I think we already saw a card that had a similar effect. So those two paired together with, again, some kind of aristocrats, sack your own stuff kind of thing. It's pretty good. Alright, see, here we are in pack number 17. We only have one new card, and it's the rare. Sulfim Mayhem Dominus. 2 and 2 red for 5/4 Phyrexian Horror. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or permanent in opponent controls, it deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. You pay 1 and 2 red Phyrexian mana. Discard 2 cards, put an indestructible counter on it. Dude, these Phyrexian Horrors, the legendary ones, I assume there's now one of every color that you can put an indestructible counter on. They're good. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or permanent in opponent controls, deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. That's good. That's comparable to, I'm thinking of Torbrand. What's Torbrand's wording? If a red source, so I'm going to pull up Torbrand. Torbrand says, if a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or permanent in opponent controls, deals that much damage +2 instead. I would say this is fairly comparable to it. And this is probably even better in like a burn deck. See, I clicked at that time and it went away. That's a really good card though. See, we got 5 new cards here in this pack. Ovika Enigma Goliath. Jeez, man. 5, a red and a blue. A 7-drop for 6/6 Phyrexian Nightmare flying with ward 3, comma, pay 3 life. So you have to do both. You have to pay 3 life to target this and pay 3 additional mana. That's nuts. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create X 1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature tokens, where X is the mana value of that spell. They gain haste until end of turn. That's badass. That's a cool card. You're really going to have to build up to it to cast a 7-drop in Izzet colors, but use treasures. But that's neat. That's pretty cool. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, I think there's probably a good way for you to abuse this card. It's a very heavy mana investment. 7 is still a lot of mana. All right, let's see. Apostle of Invasion. 4 and 2 white for 4/4 Phyrexia and Angel of Flying. And the corrupted is... it gets double strike. That's pretty decent. 6 mana 4/4 flying double strike. Assuming you got the counters. But again, it's weird, man. It's weird. If you already have 3 poison counters on an opponent, just connecting for 8 damage in the air, does it really matter? I don't know. I don't know. Unctus's Retrofitter. 2 and a blue for a 2/3 Phyrexian Artificer with Toxic 1. When it's the battlefield, up to 1 target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 4/4 for as long as Unctus's Retrofitter remains on the battlefield. That's good. That's good. It's just a good card. Again, still weird splitting up the toxic and the damage, because you turning one of your artifacts into a 4/4, that's good for damage. But this has Toxic 1. Yeah. I'm going to sound like a broken record. I don't like that it's splitting our focus so much. Rustvine Cultivator, 1 mana, or 1 green for a 1/2 Phyrexian Elf Druid. Tap it, put an oil counter on it. Tap it, remove an oil counter from it to untap target land. So it's a very interesting way to ramp. It's a very weird mana dork. But I think with the new Phyrexian cards, it's pretty good. Because we've already seen a few cards that care about the oil counters. Right? So you can tap this, put the oil counter on, which you can then use to untap a target land. So that'll ramp you a little bit. Or you just leave the oil counter on here and maybe it gets a buff from that one colorless creature we saw. You know, it gets a +1/+1 buff. And so it's a 1 mana, well, 2/3 at that point. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. I like it for the set. Let's see. Sawblade Scamp. 1 red for a 1/1 Phyrexian Beast with haste. Already like it. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on Sawblade Scamp. This is going to be a good card. And then you can tap it, remove an oil counter from it, deals 1 damage to each opponent. That's just a really fucking good card. Again, mono red oil counters. I think it's going to be a thing. And that's going in there 100%. Let's see. Already saw Drivnod, who's fucking nuts. Serum Core Chimera. 2, a blue and a red for a 2/4 Phyrexian Chimera with flying. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it. Remove 3 oil counters from it. You draw a card, then you may discard a non-land card. Oh, that's trash. Specifically, non-land. Okay. When you discard a card this way, it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Activate only as a sorcery. I don't like it. If that 3 damage could go anywhere, sure. I'm sure there are decks that could use this. Again, there are some cards that you do want to discard in Historic. In fact, I've been trying to... I've thought about making a deck. Shit. I can't think of the keyword. There's cards that when you discard them, you can cast it for a cheaper cost. And so, like, that would be really good for this. I really can't think of what it's called, though. Damn. Yeah. Overall, I find it a little underwhelming. The fact that you have to discard a non-land and then the 3 damage is only to target creature or planeswalker, and you can only do this as a sorcery, that's a lot of restrictions on this card, and I don't think it needed all of them. You should either be able to discard land, you should either be able to go to any target, or you should be able to do this at instant speed. It's just got a lot working against it. So, RIP Phyrexian Chimera, I don't think you're that good. Contagious Vorak. 2 and a green for a 3/3 Phyrexian Boar Beast. When it's a battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a land card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest of the bottom of your library in random order. If you didn't put a card into your hand this way, proliferate. So, interesting. 3 mana, 3/3. You can put a land into your hand or proliferate. It seems decent. Let's see here. Urabrask's Forge. 2 and a red for an artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep. Oh, Jesus. That is not what it says. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put an oil counter on the Forge. Then create an X/1 red Phyrexian horror creature token with trample and haste, where X is the number of oil counters on Urabrask's Forge. Sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next end step. Bro, like I said, mono red oil counters. This is a card. This is maybe the rare that I use for that deck. But making the like star 1 Trample Haste token. That's good. That's pretty good. Let's see. Vraska's Fall. This is going to be a good removal spell. 2 and a black for an instant. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker and gets a poison counter. Seems good. Offer Immortality. 1 and a black. Target creature gains Death Touch and Indestructible till end of turn. Alright, pretty standard. Pretty chill. I think we're now 20 packs in. Yes. Ooh. I'm surprised we haven't seen that one sooner. But we're going to go over that in a sec. Kemba Ka Enduring. I like the artwork. I do. 1 and a white for a 2/2 cat cleric. Whenever Kemba Ka Enduring or another cat enters the battlefield under control, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to that creature. Equipped creatures you control get +1/+1. You can pay 3 and 2 white to create a 2/2 white cat creature token. That's good. That's a good card. I could build a deck around that card. Will I? I don't know. Equipment cat deck? Interesting. Very interesting. I'd have to take a look at the equipment cards that are available to me in common and uncommon. But I don't hate it. And there are some cat cards that I do like. I really like Adorned Pouncer. However, that's also a rare. Let's see. Shieldred's Edict. 1 and a black for an instant. Choose 1. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature. Each opponent sacrifices a creature token. Or each opponent sacrifices a planeswalker. Again, I think planeswalkers are going to be big. Shieldred's Edict, that's a good removal spell. That is a good way to deal with planeswalkers. And then Mandible Justicar. I'm surprised we haven't seen it sooner. 1 and a white for a 2/1 artifact creature, Phyrexian Cleric, with lifelink. Whenever another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, Mandible Justicar gets +1/+1 until end of turn. I think that's a pretty solid card. And again, I'm surprised we haven't seen it sooner, considering that it's a common. Let's see. Mind Splice Apparatus. I think I opened this. I opened like 2 packs before I started this, and I think this was in one of those packs. So I don't think we've seen it yet. Mind Splice Apparatus. I was trying to think of this card earlier. 3 and a blue for an artifact with flash. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on it. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each oil counter on Mind Splice Apparatus. So that 5 mana, draw 3, and then I think Proliferate card. If you have this out and it has an oil counter on it, it becomes 4 mana, draw 3, Proliferate. Or again, turn after that, 3 mana, draw 3, Proliferate. So I think those cards would work really well together. But that's just a really good card in general. Yeah. Increasingly reducing the cost of your instant sorcery spells. Good. Let's see. Oil Gorger Troll. 3 and 2 green for a 3/4 Phyrexian Troll Warrior. When there's a battlefield, you gain 3 life. Then if you control a permanent with an oil counter on it, draw a card. Seems decent. Seems like we got a lot of stuff with oil counters. So I could see it having some decent use. Let's see. Meldweb Strider. 4 and a blue for 5/5 Vehicle of Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield with an oil counter on it, remove an oil counter from it. It becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. And has a crew cost of 3. I don't use a lot of vehicles, but it's okay. The fact that it can like turn itself into a creature is pretty cool. But it's still 5 mana, 5/5 Vigilance. I don't know. If it's kind of pricey, is all. Crew cost of 3 is pretty low, but I don't know. Prophetic Prism, that got a reprint. 2 mana for an artifact. When there's a battlefield, draw a card. Pay 1, tap it, add 1 mana of any color. Let's see, next pack. Still got some new stuff. Glissa Sunslayer. Loving the artwork. 1 a black and a green for a 3/3 Phyrexian Zombie Elf. First strike, Death Touch. When it deals combat damage to a player, choose 1. You draw a card and you lose 1 life. Destroy target enchantment. Or remove up to 3 counters from target permanent. Glissa Sunslayer is a badass card. That would be fun to use in Brawl as like your commander. That's good. That's good. 3 mana, 3/3, first strike, Death Touch. And when it deals combat damage, you can draw a card, lose 1 life. That's sick. And the flexibility of, again, remove 3 counters from a permanent or destroy target enchantment. That's good. That's a really good card. In a 60 card deck, probably still not bad either. Again, very flexible, and the draw a card, lose a life is really good. That's really strong. Kinkerbloom. 1 and a green for a 3/2 Phyrexian Fungus. You can pay 1, sack it, and then choose 1. Destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, or proliferate. I like it. I think it's good. 2 mana, 3/2 body. It's not bad. And then you can pay 1, sack it. Again, destroy artifact enchantments, or you get to proliferate. Which the proliferate might be really, really relevant. Destroying artifacts is pretty... I think that's going to be pretty strong this set too. Let's see. And then our other new card, Complete Devotion. 1 and a white for an instant. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If that creature has toxic, draw a card. Seems decent. You've got Elspeth there in the artwork with what looks like an Ajani who has been like consumed. Yeah, interesting. All right, 23 packs down. We're about a quarter of the way through. Still getting a decent amount of new cards. There's White Sun's Twilight again, so I have a second copy. That's good for me. Reject Imperfection. Not that I don't have a lot of rare wild cards to spare. I only have 117. Reject Imperfection, 1 and 2 blue, counter target spell. That's an instant. Counter target spell, if that spell's mana value is 3 or less, proliferate. I'm sure that will see use in standard in a mono blue deck, for sure. Adaptive Spore Singer, 2 and a green for a 2/2 Phyrexia and Druid of Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1, target creature gets +2/+2 and gains Vigilance until end of turn, or proliferate. Also seems good. Stat-wise for the mana, it's not bad. 3 mana, 2/2 Vigilance, it's not bad. But again, the proliferate might be really, really relevant. Now we have the green Skull Bomb. When you pay 2 and a green and sack it, target creature you control gets +3/+3 and gains trample until end of turn. I like that a lot. And then you draw a card. Activate only as a sorcery. That's good. And then we got the blue Sphere Land. Alright, pack number 5. We are now a quarter of the way through. We still got 5 new cards in this pack. Mondrak Glory Dominus. It's a Phyrexian Horror one. This is going to be a really good card. It is. These have been really strong so far. 2 and 2 white for 4/4 Phyrexian Horror. If 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. Okay, so this is the creature that is like Anointed Procession on a creature. And then you can pay 1 mana and 2 white Phyrexian mana, sack 2 other artifacts and or creatures, put an indestructible counter on Mondrak. Glory Dominus. That's a good card. That is a great card to include and or build around in a deck. Thrumming Bird. 1 in a blue for a 1/1 Phyrexian Bird. Horror flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, proliferate. And then we have Porcelain Zealot. Dude, my throat is really dying. I've been talking a lot today. 3 and a white for a 2/3 Phyrexian Soldier. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. If that creature has toxic, instead it gets +2/+2 until end of turn. It seems not bad. Not bad, but still weird. Still weird that we're splitting the damage in toxic. Because you need a creature with toxic to get the buff. To get the most out of the buff. To get the +2/+2. But again, the buff is increasing how much damage you're going to output. But it's a creature with toxic, so its damage is already probably low. I don't know. You're going to end up split. You're probably going to end up beating your opponent. They'll die and have like 8 counters on it with toxic. Or they'll die to the poison counters and then they'll have like 6 life left. Like it could go either way. Which, again, I don't know if I like or if I don't like. Actually, I personally don't like it. But is it bad necessarily? No. Again, you're splitting your focus, which is interesting. But again, it could be an alternate win con, really, the toxic. So giving you 2 options to win rather than just 1, it's not a bad thing. It's not. I don't think I like it personally. And again, there's going to be a lot of decks that are going to turbo focus into one area, like super hard turbo focus the toxic, proliferate, and that's how you lose. That's their game plan. That's how they're going to kill you. And then damage decks are going to deal damage. Yeah. Let's see. Gataxian Raptor. 2 and a blue for a 1/4 Phyrexian Bird. Flying away enters the battlefield. Damn it. It enters the battlefield with 3 oil counters on it. Remove an oil counter from it. It gets +1/-1 until end of turn. That's interesting. That is a very interesting card. I hope it finds use. Bladegraft Aspirant. 2 and a red for a 2/3 Phyrexian Warrior with Menace. Equipment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Activate abilities of equipment you control that target Bladegraft Aspirant cost 1 less to cast. That I think will be pretty good. Yeah. Equipment 1 less to cast and 1 less to equip. Targeting this, a 3 mana 2/3 with Menace. Seems pretty good. All right, I'm gonna open the new pack and I'm gonna run. I'm gonna take a piss real quick and I'll be right back. We'll see what's in the next pack. All right, I am back. Let's see. We got only one new card. Mirren Bard. I don't even know how to say that, so I'm not gonna try. 4 and a white for an artifact equipment that has 4 Mirrodin, so you create the 2/2, and you'll get to attach this to it. Equipped creature gets +2/+1 and it has vigilance. Did I have my earbud out? I think I did. All right, we've been going for an hour, 10 minutes. Okay, I will probably cap this at 2 hours. Once we start getting really close to that, we'll probably just open like 10 packs at a time. Because again, my throat, it is starting to hurt, and I do still have a whole another video to make, and I have not eaten lunch yet. It is now 1:20. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Azuri, Stalker of Spheres. 2. Oh, okay. Do you care now? No? I'm trying to wonder why the cards are spheres, why these lands are spheres. And I thought that he would care about them, but not yet. Azuri, Stalker of Spheres. 2, a green and a blue for 3/3 Phyrexia and Elf Warrior. When enters the battlefield, you may pay 3. If you do, proliferate twice. Whenever you proliferate, draw a card. Yo, Azuri's fucking nuts. This Azuri's fucking great. That's gonna see a lot of play. That's crazy. You may pay 3 if you do proliferate twice. So 3 mana. That's a lot of mana when he enters, actually. I will say that. To fully use his ability would be 7 mana. 4 mana for the initial cost, and on the ETB you may pay an additional 3. That additional 3 will let you proliferate twice and draw 2 cards. I think it's still probably really good. Probably. If you have a way to blink him, that could be really cool. If you have 1 mana for some kind of blink effect, when he re-ETBs, you can pay 3. So yeah, if you play him like turn 4, then next turn you will have enough mana if you have a 1 mana blink spell to pay the 3 into the ETB. So that's interesting. Serum Snare. 1 in blue for an instant. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If that permanent had mana value 3 or less, proliferates. And then we have Lightest Blade Mantis. 3 and a green for 4/3 for Phyrexia and Insect. Enters the battlefield with 2 oil counters on it. When it attacks, you may remove an oil counter from it. If you do, untap it, and it gains +1/+1 until end of turn. Solid green card. Let's see. Mirren Safe House. 3 mana for an artifact. As long as Mirren Safe House is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all lands in your graveyard. That's interesting. Very interesting. I'm not sure what land you would want in your graveyard. That's interesting. There are the new colored lands that you can sack, right? Pay 2, tap, sack it, draw a card. If one of those is already in your graveyard, you can draw another card from this. I don't know. There's probably better targets. So it's alright. I guess it should be able to... I don't know if this would be able to tap for whatever colors you have in your graveyard. Maybe. Does that count? Maybe that counts as an activated ability. You have to... I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully. Hey, Cookie. I'm fucking up the green screen, Cookie. I don't know why you left and got up. All I did was go pee. All right, let's see. Gitaxian, Anatomist, 3 and a blue for 2/5 Phyrexian Wizard. When there's a battlefield, you may tap it. If you do, proliferate. Huh. When there's a battlefield, you may tap it. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Probably worth it. Oh, and we just saw the card that is our background. That background right there, it's that artifact that we literally just saw. Alright, only one new card. Mirror Convert. 2 mana for 2/1 Phyrexian Mirror Toxic 1. Tap, pay 2 life, add 1 mana of any color. Interesting. Interesting little mana dork. Hey, watch your ass, Cookie. Hey, don't go under the desk. Stay over there. I gotta move my headphones too. Ooh, a bunch of new cards. Okay. Starting with Venerated Rot Priest. This one is good. 1 green for a 1/2 Phyrexian Druid with Toxic 1. Whenever a creature you control becomes target of a spell, target opponent gets a poison counter. That's sick. That's great. That's good. What's sick about that is that you throw this into an Ivy deck, an Ivy the Gleeful one, and this doesn't say it becomes a target of an opponent's spell. You can choose to buff your own creatures or do whatever with them, and that'll put poison counters on your opponents. This plus Ivy would be fucking insane, and probably is insane, and I'm sure people already used it with Ivy during the early access that people got for Phyrexia. That's crazy good. Crazy good. Because again, you play this on turn 1, turn 2, you Ivy, which is 1 in a blue. Turn 3, you have 3 mana, you could play 3 pump spells, buff spells, whatever. Ivy, I can't remember for Ivy, if you target it, it'll target another creature. Or if you target another creature, it will also copy that spell and target it onto Ivy. But either way, for each spell you're casting, your opponent's getting 2 poison counters. So if you have both of them out, you cast 5 spells over your next 2 turns, your opponent's dead. And that's assuming nothing else is going on, right? Crazy good. Crazy good. That's going to see a lot of play. Let's see. Transplant Theorist. 3 and a blue for 2/4 Phyrexian Artificer. Whenever this or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Pay 2, put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. Interesting. Scheming Aspirant. 1 in a black, 1/3. Whenever you proliferate, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. That's weird, man. That's weird, because ideally you'd be proliferating the poison counters, right? So, but if you're proliferating poison counters, what does it matter that you're gaining or losing life? I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know what kind of deck you want to put this in. Because if you're running a proliferate deck, you don't want to run this because it doesn't proliferate and it doesn't put counters on anything. It can gain you life, I guess, if you're struggling to survive long enough to get out all of your proliferates and all your counters on your opponent, then I guess you would want to run it. But at that point, why not just run a better card that will either proliferate again or will add a counter sooner, you know? Because again, this doesn't have Toxic itself. It's just weird. I'm sure people figure out what decks they like to play, though. And maybe cards like this, they'll just get caught in the middle and they will see play in both, or they won't see any play. And if it's the latter, then that's a bummer. It'd be sad. Okay, let's see. Testament Bearer. 3 and a black for 4/1 Phyrexian Warrior. When it dies, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Decent. Yeah. Yeah, pretty decent. I was just talking about making a glass cannon deck with creatures with only 1 toughness, but a lot of power. This is one that I would use. Because there's a blue, I think, maybe it's a ninja card. There's a blue creature that says if your creature has power or toughness 1, then it can't be blocked. But I can't remember the name of it. It's an older card. But yeah, that'd be good for that deck. For me. Let's see. Thirsting Roots. 1 green for a sorcery. Choose 1. Search your library for a basic land card. Reveal it, put in your hand, then shuffle or proliferate. 1 green proliferate seems pretty good. I'm hoping that Pollen Bright Druid will see more play with all of the toxic stuff. I'm gonna pull up Pollen Bright Druid. It'd be for historic, but It's a card that I've always liked, and I've struggled to effectively use it in decks. 1 in a green for a 1/1 elf druid. When enters the battlefield, choose 1. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or proliferate. Oh yeah, I haven't thought too much about +1/+1 counters. But we're getting a lot of new proliferate cards. So +1/+1 decks are getting huge buffs right now. Maybe not so much for standard, because I haven't seen a lot of cards with +1/+1 counters, but for historic, that's huge. Let's see, we have Nahiri, the Unforgiving. Did we already see this one? Yes, I said the 0 was broken, right? This is not the 0 I was thinking of. That was broken, but it's still good. Okay, Evolving Adaptive. 1 green for 0/0. Phyrexian Warrior, when it enters the battlefield. Jesus. It gets an oil counter. It gets +1/+1 for each oil counter on it. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than Evolving Adaptive, put in an oil counter on Evolving Adaptive. So it basically has Evolve, but in the form of oil counters. Oh, I was just saying that I haven't seen a lot of cards for +1/+1 counters. This is effectively functioning as +1/+1 counters. So you can proliferate these oil counters, and it'll get +1/+1. So like that plus Pollen Bright Druid would be nice, you know? Let's see. Whisper of the Dross. 1 black for an instant. Target creature gets -1/-1 to end a turn. Proliferate. I don't hate it. -1/-1 doesn't seem like a lot, but there are a lot of creatures with 1 toughness that you want to kill. At least for me playing in Historic. Soul Wardens. Even like Land War Elves. Let's see. There's a 2 mana dragon that's a 1/1. At the beginning of your upkeep, reduces the cost of another dragon in your hand by 1. Can't remember the name, but there's a lot of good targets with only 1 toughness that can kill, and then proliferate. You know, we've already seen this. Let's see. Nahiri Sacrifice. Pay 1 in a blue. Sorcery is additional cost to cast a spell. Sack an artifact or creature with mana value X. It deals X damage, divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. Interesting. Interesting card. I don't know how good it is. I feel like not very. Yeah. Vindictive Flamestoker. 1 red for a 1/2 Phyrexian Wizard. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on Vindictive Flamestoker. Pay 6 in a red. Sacrifice the Flamestoker. Discard your hand, then draw 4 cards. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each oil counter on it. Yo, do you have to sack it? You do have to sack him. But that's pretty dope. Again, mono red oil counters. Maybe that's the rare that's worth running, because that's a lot of gas. Discard your hand. You probably only have 1 or 2 cards, maybe 0, and draw 4. Pretty good. Slaughter Singer. I don't even know what this card is, but it already looks good. Green and a white for a 2/2 Phyrexian Cleric with Toxic 2. Whenever another creature you control with Toxic attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Damn it. It's not a bad card, but it's splitting your focus again. Why are you buffing my creatures? Why are you buffing their damage instead of giving them another Toxic? If it buffed the Toxic by 1, then that would be sick, and your Toxic creatures just become really good. Well, this is buffing damage, but it also wants you to be running Toxic creatures. I was wrong. It's not super good. Like, maybe it is. Maybe it'll see a lot of good play. Just split your focus, man. Thrune, Breaker of Silence. 3 and 2 green for a 5/5 Troll Shaman. This spell can't be countered. That's already good. Trample. Sick. It can't be the target of non-green spells your opponents control, or abilities from non-green sources your opponents control. Holy shit. As long as it's your turn, Thrune has Indestructible. Dude, you're not removing this motherfucker. What is green gonna do to it? If you are playing against this card and you're running green, what green spell do you run that can deal with a Thrune? Or Thrun. I'm gonna say Thrune. Thrun? Maybe Thrun. Yeah, what the how do you deal with this? You just don't. You can't target it with non-green spells. You can't use white to exile it to get around the Indestructible. I love this card. What the fuck? It's so good. It's so good. How do you get this off the field? And it can't be countered, so blue can't deal with it either. I love this card. Done. I love this card. I'm going to build a deck around it. For sure. 100% for sure. That's so good. Again, you're going to have to be playing mono green with a big creature and then like a fight spell. Like that's it. That's like the only way you get rid of this card. And then regular blocking. No, not even regular blocking, because if it's attacking you, that means it's your opponent's turn, so he has indestructible. Bro, I am in love with this card. It's so fucking good. And it'd make for a great commander, because again, it's just so hard to remove this card. Hell, it would probably be really good for a Voltron deck. You just make this motherfucker really big, kill him with commander damage. Done. I love this card. I love this card. I'm so excited about it. Okay, we'll move on. Veil of Assimilation. 1 and a white for an artifact. Whenever Veil of Assimilation or another artifact enters the battlefield under control, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains vigilance until end of turn. It seems decent. Mono white artifacts, I think could be an archetype. That's pretty good. Vraska, Betrayal's Sting. 4 a black and then a black Phyrexian mana. For a planeswalker with 6 loyalty and completed. So again, if you pay the 2 life to cast this spell, it'll enter with 2 fewer loyalty counters. Pay 0, draw a card, and lose 1 life. Proliferate. Seems decent. -2. Target creature becomes a target artifact with tap, sack this artifact, add 1 mana of any color, and loses all other card types and abilities. Huh. So you can just turn a creature into an artifact. Or turn it into a treasure. Okay. Interesting removal, but removal nonetheless. And -9. If target player has fewer than 9 poison counters, they get a number of poison counters equal to the difference. So this can set your opponent up to 9 poison counters. That's pretty nuts. But this does not have a plus. It starts at 6 loyalty. Its abilities are 0, -2, -9. You have to proliferate or be running like a Vorinclex to be able to use the -9. That is the only way you minus this card. That's very interesting. I haven't been paying attention to that for our other planeswalkers that we've seen, but that's crazy. That's super crazy. Yeah. That's it. That's all I've got to say about it. That's wild. Bladehold War Whip. In equipment, for 1, a red and a white. Has 4 Mirrodin. Equip abilities you activate of other equipment cost 1 less to activate. Equipped creature has double strike. Equipped for 3, a red and a white. So this seems not bad. Even just to have for the cost reduction. Seems decent. Vanish into Eternity. 2 and a white. This spell costs 3 more to cast if it targets a creature. Holy shit. Exile target non-land permanent. What? Ugh, 6 mana to exile a creature? Bro. 3 mana, exile target non-land permanent. To instant speed. I'm just trying to compare it to other removal spell that's available. Other removal spells that are available. Because there's a lot of enchantments in white, right? That can exile target non-land permanent for 3 mana. But they can hit creatures. It's just at sorcery speed. Dude, I don't know. I don't know about that card. We'll have to see how many planeswalkers and I guess equipment are being run. Planar Disruption, I don't think we've talked about it, but that's a really good card too. In fact, I don't think we've talked about this Gold Warden's Helm either. I must have opened it previously. Gold Warden's Helm is 2 and a white for an equipment. It has 4 Mirrodin. Equipped creature gets +0/+1. Equipped for 1 and a white. Planar Disruption is a great card. This is going to see a ton of play. This is already a better version of Vanish into Eternity. Planar Disruption. 1 and a white for an enchantment aura. Enchant artifact, creature, or planeswalker. Enchanted permanent can attack or block. Its activated abilities can't be activated. This is a way better removal spell to get rid of planeswalkers. 2 mana. Yes, sorcery speed. 2 mana though. And your opponent has to have enchantment removal, which nobody runs. Very good. And it won't cost you 3 additional mana to target a creature. Great card. Oh, we got the big boy. Tyrannix Rex. 4 and 3 green for an 8/8 Phyrexian dinosaur. This spell can't be countered. Trample. Ward 4. Haste. Toxic 4. This dude is a fucking beast. It is a beast. It is hard to get rid of. And it's going to hit you extremely hard. That's a good creature. 7 mana. It's pretty steep. But for mono green, no problem. Let's see. Ambulatory Edifice. 2 and a black for a 3/2 Phyrexian construct. When it's the battlefield, you may pay 2 life. When you do, target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. I like it. It's good. Like I said, there's a lot of good targets with 1 toughness that you can get rid of. And being able to do this for, just paying 2 life seems pretty good. Like, for instance, this Void Wing Hybrid. Blue and a black for a 2/1 Phyrexian bat with flying toxic 1. When you proliferate, return Void Wing from your graveyard to your hand. Interesting. But like that, gets a -1/-1. Gone. Boop. We got the green sphere, finally. And Volt Charge. 2 and a red. Volt Charge deals 3 damage to any target, proliferate. It seems a little pricey for the mana. 3 mana, deal 3, proliferate. Maybe mono red runs it. Leonin Lightbringer, 2 and a red for a 3/2 cat rebel with ward 2. As long as this is equipped, it gets +1/+1. Cats. Equipment cats. We already saw the rare that you would use for that deck. Monument to Perfection. 2 mana for an artifact. Pay 3, tap it. Search your library for a basic. Here it is. The card that cares about these lands being spheres. 3 mana, tap this. Search your library for a basic, sphere, or locust land card. Reveal it, put in your hand, then shuffle. I don't even know what the locust ones are. If we've already seen them, I wasn't paying attention. Pay 3 mana. Monument to Perfection becomes a... Jesus. Pay 3 mana. Monument to Perfection becomes a 9/9 Phyrexian construct artifact creature. Loses all abilities and gains indestructible and toxic 9. Activate only if there are 9 or more lands with different names among the basic sphere and locust lands you control. That's nuts. That's crazy. I haven't seen any green spells that let you ramp, specifically searching your library for sphere cards. Hopefully they exist. You got a lot of new ones in this pack. Ooh, a new Twilight. Black Suns, Twilight. X and a black for an instant. Up to 1 target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. If X is 5 or more, return a creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. That's a great card. That is a super good card. Yes, that's it. All the Twilight cards are quite strong. I expect this to see a lot of play. I do. It's just a board wipe that lets you return a creature to the battlefield. That's sick. Drown and Ichor. 1 and a black, target creature gets -4/-4 until end of turn, proliferate. This is also good. It's a sorcery speed, but this is a really good removal spell too. 4 toughness is a lot. That is a lot that you can get rid of. And then proliferate. Ravenous Necrotitan. Badass name, badass art. 4 mana for a 6/6. When enters the battlefield, sacrifice a creature unless an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. That's it. 4 mana, 6/6, sack 1. But maybe not even sack 1 if your opponent has 3 or more poison counters. Interesting. That one seems good. Seems scary. Escaped Experiment. 1 in a blue for a 2/1 Phyrexian Beast. Whenever this attacks, target creature an opponent controls gets -X/-0 until end of turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Okay. We've seen some artifact tribal cards already. Anoint with Affliction. Excuse me. Keep burping. I don't know if it's from the monster that I had earlier or because I haven't eaten. And so like my stomach, it's getting smaller, squeezing out the gas, Got them hunger burps. That's what's going on right now. Let's see. Anoint with Affliction. Let's see. We're an hour and 34 minutes in. So I've only got about 20 more minutes of reading cards. Then we're going to blast through the last of them. And, yeah. Well, we'll call it there. I think we've opened a good amount of packs. We've already gone over a lot of the new cards. And, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. And I hope you've been enjoying it. And, again, I hope you like the idea, too, of taking your time to open up packs and go through it, because I know it's something that a lot of people just don't do on Arena. You just buy 100 packs, boom, open times 10, you click 10 times, maybe you have to click twice for each, but and then you're done. You opened 100 packs, took you less than a minute. And it's just, I don't think that's very satisfying. And I don't like to buy physical packs anymore because I end up with a bunch of bulk cards that just sit there. I'd rather just buy the cards that I need specifically for a deck, you know? Yeah. So again, I hope you like this, and yeah, that's it. I hope you like it, because I plan to do this probably for every set that gets released from now on. Let's see. Anoint with Affliction, because this is even just good for me. Like, I'm learning all the cards now. Anoint with Affliction. 1 and a black for an instant. Exile target creature if it has mana value 3 or less. Corrupted, exile that creature instead. So 2 mana, exile. Oh yeah, exile target creature, mana value 3 or less, or just any creature if they have 3 or more poison counters. I wonder if there's an easy way to get 3 poison counters on someone, and then make the rest of your deck, again, just benefit from those 3 counters. It just seems weird. Ooh, this is a card that I guess I opened, but we haven't seen yet. Sheoldred's Headcleaver. I think this is a really good card. 3 and a black for 2/4 with Menace and Toxic 2. I just like this card a lot. Maybe, 2 power isn't a lot, but Menace with Toxic, I think that's good. And this, because it has the Toxic 2, it is focusing more on the Toxic, more so than connecting for damage. So I like that one a lot. But here we have Atmosphere Surgeon, 1 in a blue for a 2/1 Phyrexian Warrior. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it. You can remove an oil counter, and then target creature gains flying until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. This is a great card. What the fuck? This one's hella good. I like this a lot. There's a lot of good, like, prowess and, creatures and other creatures that get buffs from instant and sorcery spells, or even non-creatures, right? That don't have flying, that would love to have flying. This is sick. Even at activate only as a sorcery, you can stack on these counters really fast and always be giving something flying and swinging with it that wouldn't normally. Like, I was just playing in our free-to-play deck. I was running Festival Crasher. It gets +2/+0 whenever you cast an instant or sorcery. It might be a non-creature spell. One of the two. In fact, I think it's instant or sorcery spell. And, yeah, it doesn't have trample. And it doesn't have flying. So it's pretty easy to block, even if it gets really big. But giving it flying, that'd be sick. That'd be nuts. Cacophony Scamp. And again, he's a really cheap card. 2 mana, 2/1, that's good. Phyrexian Wizard, great typing. Super great typing for this effect. Cacophony Scamp. I think this is going to be a good card too. 1 mana for a 1/1, 1 red mana for a 1/1 Phyrexian Goblin Warrior. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may sack it. If you do, proliferate. When it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. This is a good card. This is a very good card. Again, mono red, oil counters. Being able to proliferate those oil counters will be sick. And being able to do 1 damage to any target, also good. And we've opened 40 packs. 40 packs. Ooh, Red Sun's Twilight. We haven't seen this one yet. It's X and 2 red for sorcery. Destroy up to X target artifacts. If X is 5 or more, for each artifact destroyed this way, create a token that's a copy of it. Those tokens gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Normally, okay, my initial thought as I was reading this, it's not that great. Unless your opponent's running an artifact, running a lot of artifacts themselves, right? Which again, like the might tokens, they're artifacts. So you can probably destroy all 5. But the fact that you get a token copy of whatever artifact you destroy, and it gains haste, that's nuts. So if your opponent has the mites, right, and you destroy 5 of them, you get those mites on your side of the field with haste. But you could also destroy your own things. I don't know in what scenario that's beneficial, but I'm sure there's got to be something There's got to be something. Maybe your opponent has like tapped down one of your own artifact creatures, you know, or has like an enchantment on it so it can't attack or block. So you sack your own big artifact creature. It comes back to the battlefield under your control with haste, and then you can swing with it again. I think it's pretty cool. Interesting. I think it's probably one of the weaker ones. I'm not gonna lie. One of the weaker Twilights that we've seen, but it's neat. I think it's neat. Ruthless Predation. 1 green for a sorcery. Target creature you control gets +1/+2 until end of turn. It fights target creature you don't control. One of the only ways you're going to destroy that 5 mana green ogre that we were talking about. Potentially destroy it. So you already seen that one. Resistance Reunited. 1 and a white. Here you can see Elspeth and Koth. Shaking hands is pretty dope. For an instant, so 1 and white for an instant, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Equipped creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. I like that. It doesn't help very much against Black Sun's Zenith, but... Oh, it's not the Zenith cards. My bad. Black Sun's Twilight. The Twilight cards. But overall, good card. Infectious Inquiry. 2 and a black for a sorcery. You draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. Each opponent gets a poison counter. It's good. It's good. In fact, I think I like it more by the fact that it says opponent gets a poison counter more than proliferate. Because I haven't seen a lot of cards that put poison counters on your opponent aside from creatures with toxic. So this to just get the ball rolling, get that shit started, it's good. I like it. And again, the 3 mana, draw 2, lose 2 life, that's pretty standard for black. There's a lot of cards that are very similar to this. Let's see. Glistener Seer. 1 blue for a 0/3 Phyrexian Advisor. Enters the battlefield with 3 oil counters on it. You can tap, remove an oil counter from it to scry 1. I could see this getting play in some kind of like combo deck, maybe. 1 mana 0/3 is pretty good defensive creature. Good blocker, good early game blocker. And then during your opponent's end step, you just tap this, remove the counter, and you get to scry. Yeah. I'm sure there's decks that could use it. Again, maybe a mono blue deck would like it. Phyrexian Arena again. Cutthroat Centurion. 2 and a black for a 2/2 Phyrexian Warrior. Sack another artifact or creature. Cutthroat Centurion gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Activate only once each turn. I hate that last line. Activate only once each turn. It's a good way for Wizards of the Coast to, stop cards from being broken, to balance cards. But I still don't like seeing it. Alright, Magmatic Sprinter. 2 and a red for a 3/2 Phyrexian Warrior with haste. When this enters the battlefield, put 2 oil counters on target artifact or creature you control. Dude, again, I really want to play a mono red oil counters deck. It's going to be good. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. At the beginning of your end step, return Magmatic Sprinter to its owner's hand unless you remove 2 oil counters from it. 3 mana, 3/2 haste. When it enters the battlefield, you can put 2 oil counters on something, bounces back to your hand. Again, for our free-to-play run, I had played some mono red aggro, and oh man, I'm blanking on the name so hard right now. What is the 1-drop? What's the 1 mana samurai that comes back to your hand after you swing with it? I gotta find this. I will find it right now. Reinforced Ronin. Reinforced Ronin has been a crazy good card in that deck. Right? 1 mana, 2/2, haste, human samurai. At the beginning of your end step, return Reinforced Ronin to its owner's hand. And it also has channel, so you can pay 1 in a red, discard it to draw a card. What's really nice about the Reinforced Ronin coming back to your hand is that it's pretty hard for your opponents to remove it. Which means, thinking about Magmatic Sprinter, you'll be able to recast this probably more than once. It is a little more, it's significantly more expensive at 3 mana. But being able to continuously put the 2 oil counters on something is pretty sick. Or if you think you're at a safe board state, or that your opponent can't deal with it, you can put the 2 counters on this, and then remove the 2 counters to keep this on the battlefield. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. All right, this is going to be the last pack that we go over. We got really close to half. You know what? We're going to do half. We're gonna make it to 50. Look, there's nothing new here. Terramorphic Expanse also got reprinted. Yes, we're gonna make it all the way to 50 because we're an hour and 45 minutes in. So I want to wrap this up around the 2 hour mark. Okay, expand the sphere. Ooh, this is a card I was looking for. I said we hadn't found a green card yet that lets you search for a sphere. I think this will. 3 and a green for a sorcery. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. Put up to 2 land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If you put fewer than 2 lands on the battlefield this way, proliferate a number of times equal to the difference. Damn it, no. I thought this would let us look at top 6. Oh, wait. Well, I guess it's any 2 lands, right? It doesn't say 2 basic lands. Yeah. Put up to 2 land cards from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this could work with the spheres and that other card, that artifact that you pay 9, turn it into an indestructible 9/9, as long as you have 9 or more different named lands between spheres, the other thing, and basics. Man, my throat is really going. Yeah, it's okay. It's not a bad ramp spell. And it can proliferate you twice, which maybe is the reason you're running it. Vat of Rebirth. 1 black for an artifact. Whenever another artifact or creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on Vat of Rebirth. Pay 2 and a black, tap it, remove 4 oil counters from Vat of Rebirth. Return target creature card from graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. Seems pretty good, actually. I was going to say seems decent, but because you don't have to sack the Vat of Rebirth, I like it a lot. Again, aristocrats, great. Great. 3 mana, tap it, remove 4 oil counters. Target creature card comes to the grave from the graveyard to the battlefield. Or maybe you mix like aristocrats and like some kind of reanimation deck, you know? Some kind of recursion deck. You got some big thing in your graveyard that you cheat out with this. Yeah, okay, 6 more packs. 6 more packs. Yeah, we got enough time. I'll read them. We'll read whatever we get. Jorah Kadeen. Jeremy Wilson. Just looking at this artwork, I think I know another card that he has made. And if it wasn't by him, I'd be very surprised. But I'm going to look up his name in a second. The artist, if you don't know, is in the bottom left corner. Jorah Kadeen, first Gold Warden. Pay a red and a white for 2/2 human rebel with trample. Whenever it attacks, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of equipped creatures you control. Then if Jorah Kadeen's power is 4 or greater, draw a card. Okay, so I was thinking about mono red equipment. Oh no, we were talking about red was like equipments too, and then there was the white cat equipment deck that I was thinking of. But this seems pretty good too. Let's see, Gleeful Demolition, 1 red for a sorcery, destroy target artifact. If you control that artifact, create 3 1/1 red Phyrexia and Goblin creature tokens. I like this. If you, I was gonna say if you already have a Phyrexia and Goblin token, you could just sack it, multiply it by 3. But those are not artifacts. I still like it. What if you have a treasure? Pay 1, sack your treasure, create 3 1/1s that are goblins. I like it. I like it. There's decks that are going to be able to utilize that very well. Predation Steward, 1 and a green for 2/2 Phyrexia and Elf Warrior. Enters the battlefield, 2 oil counters on it. Pay 2 and a green, tap, remove an oil counter from it. Gets +2/+2, activate only as a sorcery. Okay. But let me look at this artist real quick. Jeremy Wilson. Yes. Yes. Okay. There's a lot more cards by him, and that makes a lot of sense. It's his use of white that really stands out. So looking at this, like the scarf and then the Phyrexian creatures there. Yeah. This is more of his artwork. And it was this card, Embereth Shieldbreaker, that I was quite certain that he had made. But yeah, looking at like Jaya's Fire NATO, here you see the Jorah Kadeen again. His use of the white is very interesting. Like the negative kind of white, I think, is what you would call it, something like that. And then Bone Splinters. I didn't know he made Bone Splinters. Makes a lot of sense. It's interesting. I like it. It's cool. This one stands out as not having done that, but this is from an older set. I think it's the oldest set here. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But interesting. I thought that was interesting. Okay. Let's see. 5 more packs. Got 10 minutes. And then we're just gonna open 10 for the last cards. Which is fine because by now I think we've seen most of the common and uncommon cards. Which means that a lot of the newer cards left, they probably are rares. So, Infectious Bite, 1 in green for an instant. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Each opponent gets a poison counter. That's a better fight spell than the other one we saw. Tablet of Completion, 2 mana for an artifact. Tap, put an oil counter on it. Tap, add a colorless. Activate only if Tablet of Completion has 2 or more oil counters on it. 1, tap and draw a card. Activate only if it has 5 or more oil counters on it. Cool. Next. I think we might run over 2 hours just a little bit. We already saw Glissa, she's good. Trawler Drake, 2 and a blue. 0/0 Phyrexia and Drake. Flying enters the battlefield with an oil counter on it. It gets +1/+1 for each oil counter on it. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on Trawler Drake. That's good. That's strong. That's really good, like that other 2-drop wizard that we saw. That same thing, non-creature, it gets a counter. That's good. Stinging Hive Master, 2 and a black for 3/2 Phyrexian Warlock with Toxic. 1, when it dies, create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature token with Toxic 1, and its creature can't block. What's interesting about this is that the Phyrexian Might token here is different from the other ones. Yeah, I don't know why it has a different artwork, but it does. And I just want to point that out. Because it's not the little white Might that we've seen in a lot of other cards. Interesting. Functionally the same, though. Quicksilver Fisher. 3 and 2 blue for 4/3 Phyrexian Drake with Flying. When enters battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. It's okay. Probably won't see a ton of play. Blade of Shared Souls. 2 and a blue for an artifact equipment that has 4 Mirrodin. Whenever it becomes attached to a creature for as long as Blade of Shared Souls remain attached to it, you may have that creature become a copy of another target creature you control. That's neat. And only 2 mana to equip. 3 to cast it, 2 to equip. Very cool. Alright. Our last pack. And we have 1 new card. Plated Onslaught. Pay 3 and 2 white for an instant. Has affinity for artifacts. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. It's alright. Alright. Open 10. Let's see. We have 2 new cards. So let's see. Damn. Staff of Completion, I'm pretty sure, is new too. So we have 4. Again, I must have opened it previously. Staff of Completion. 3 mana for an artifact. Tap it, pay 1 life. Destroy target permanent you own. Tap it, pay 2 life. Add 1 mana of any color. Tap it, pay 3 life. Proliferate. Tap it, pay 4 life. Draw a card. 5 mana. Untap Staff of Completion. I'm sure someone will find a way to break this using... I was going to say using infinite mana, but this pays life. I think this is going to be hard to break and abuse on Arena, but I think someone can do it. It's not me, though. I'm not going to be the one who can figure it out. The Seed Core. Land, sphere, tap, add a colorless. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast Phyrexian creature spells. And the Corrupted is tap, target 1/1 creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn. Yeah. Let's see. Kethic, Crucible Goliath. 2, a black and a red for 4/4 Phyrexian Beast. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary creature card with lesser mana value. Put it on the battlefield, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. That's an interesting card. Maybe good. Ooh, a new Koth. I used the old Koth in a mono red ramp deck, and he was really, really good because his minus adds like a red mana for each mountain that you control or something. Koth, Fire of Resistance. 2 and 2 red for Koth, legendary planeswalker with 4 loyalty. +2. Search your library for a basic mountain card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. -3. Deals damage to target creature equal to the number of mountains you control. -7. You get an emblem with, whenever a mountain enters the battlefield under your control, this emblem deals 4 damage to any target. That's sick. That's a nice Koth. Alright, 10 more. But yeah, we're going to go over. Oh my god, we finally see the sword. Sword of Forge and Frontier. The new sword, if I am correct, my friend told me that we're only missing one combination left, and I think it's Demir. I'm probably wrong about the color combination, but there's only one more sword color combination that we need after this one has been released. Sword of Forge and Frontier, 3 mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from red and from green. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. You may play an additional land this turn. Badass sword. That's sick. Argentum Masticore. 5 mana for 5/5 Phyrexia and Masticore. First strike, protection from multicolored. That's pretty cool. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Manticore unless you discard a card. When you discard a card this way, destroy target non-land permanent and opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the mana value of the discarded card. That's an interesting card. I don't know that has that much use in standard. Maybe. But I could see this being a commander card in like a Eldrazi colorless deck. Because you could discard like a 9-drop Eldrazi, get that into your graveyard, which maybe you recur later or something. I don't know. But then you get to destroy something with CMC 9 or less, you know. I don't know. Maybe this is good in black decks to, again, fill your graveyard for recursion spells. Ooh, Melira, the Living Cure. This is going to be a good card. A lot of people are going to want to run this card. Melira, the Living Cure. There is an older Melira. We don't have her on Arena, though. Green and a white for a 3/3 Human Scout. If you would get 1 or more poison counters, instead you get 1 poison counter. And you can't get additional poison counters this turn. Exile Melira, the Living Cure. Choose another target artifact or creature. When it's put into a graveyard this turn, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So this is really going to stem the bleeding from poison counters. And yeah, it's just really good. Mirrex, another Sphere land. Tap, add a colorless. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Activate only if Mirrex enter the battlefield this turn. Weird. Pay 3, tap it, create a 1/1 Phyrexian Might, artifact creature token toxic 1, and this creature can't block. And this is using the other Might artwork as well. Do any of these create Mights? Because now I'm questioning myself. And then we have Vran Executioner Thane, which is super badass looking. 1 and a black for a 2/2 Phyrexian Vampire. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control die, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. This ability triggers only once each turn. And that's how they nerf it. Alright, we got 2 more new ones. Unctus Grand Metatect. 1 and 2 blue for a 2/4 Phyrexian Vidalcan. Other blue creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. That's pretty good. Other artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. And you can pay a Phyrexian blue mana until end of turn. Target creature you control becomes a blue artifact in addition to its other colors and types. Activate only as a sorcery. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. A little bit dangerous. We have seen a lot of artifact removal. So if you turn one of your other creatures into a blue artifact, be wary of removal. I don't think we saw this guy, but this card is insane. Miglaw's Maze Crusher. 1 red and a green for 4/4 Phyrexian Beast. It enters the battlefield with 5 oil counters on it. You can pay 1, remove an oil counter from it. It gains Vigilance and Menace until end of turn. You can pay 2 mana and remove 2 oil counters from it. It gets +2/+2 until end of turn. You can pay 3 mana, remove 3 oil counters from it. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. This is a fucking beast. Literal Phyrexian beast of a creature. Because it's a 3 mana 4/4. Next turn, when you swing with it, if you wanted to remove all 5 counters from it, you could give it +2/+2 twice. So you give it +4/+4, it becomes an 8/8, and you remove the 5th oil counter, it gains Vigilance and Menace until end of turn. Literal fucking beast of a creature. I don't think we saw this garden, actually. The Mycosynth Gardens, land, sphere, tap, add a colorless. You can pay 1 mana, tap it, add 1 mana of any color. Pay X, tap it. The Mycosynth Gardens becomes a copy of target non-token artifact you control with mana value X. That's pretty interesting. And then we have Kaya Intangible Slayer. 3, 2 white and 2 black for a Planeswalker with 6 loyalty counters and hexproof. It's +2, each opponent loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life. It's 0 mana. You draw 2 cards. Then each opponent may scry 1. -3. Exile target creature or enchantment. If it wasn't an aura, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 white spirit creature with flying in addition to its other types. Very interesting removal. Very interesting. All right, two more. And there's lots to read for this one. Damn it. I'm ready to wrap this up. Skrelv's Hive. I think that's how you say it. 1 and a white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature token with toxic 1, and this creature can't block. You see, there's the other Phyrexian Might. I feel like I'm tripping. I don't know if there's anything different between the two mites, but I don't think there is. Maybe just the color? Does this one say white? No? I don't know. Right. Alright, so at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose a life and you make a might. And corrupted is creatures you control toxic have a lifelink. Interesting and weird combination. The Eternal Wanderer. I actually used this in the pre-release event. The Eternal Wanderer, 4 and 2 white for a Planeswalker with 5 loyalty that says no more than 1 creature can attack the Eternal Wanderer each combat. It's +1. Exile up to 1 target artifact or creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of that player's next end step. 0 mana, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with double strike. That's really strong. -4. For each player, and you can activate this the turn you play it, -4. For each player, choose a creature that player controls. Each player sacrifices all creatures they control, not chosen this way. So for every player, you get to choose 1 creature that they get to keep. Destroy everything. Crazy. Skrelv Defector Might. 1 white for a 1/1 Phyrexian Might, who is legendary. And 1 mana legendary Might. With Toxic 1, it can't block. You can pay a Phyrexian white and tap it, choose a color. Another target creature you control gains Toxic 1 and Hexproof from that color until end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures of that color this turn. That's pretty sick. That's hella good. The Defector Might? Bro, that shit's hella good. It looks like it's eating like a black Might. And it's called Defector Might. I don't know that much about the lore for Phyrexia. That's interesting. Maybe that's why there is another Might token that I've seen. I wanna look it up. Okay, yeah, I'm not tripping. There are 2 Phyrexian Mights. So this one and the little black one. They're both 1/1s, Toxic 1, can't block. Yeah, we just get 2 different artworks, I guess. Yeah, the other one, it's not even black. Okay. Let's see. Then we have Slowbad Iron Goblin. Just here in the middle. 2 and a red for a 3/3 Phyrexian Goblin Artificer. Tap second artifact. Add an amount of red mana equal to the sacrifice artifact's mana value. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. Good. Maybe I'll make a red oil deck and then play around with a couple different rares in it. Evolved Spinoderm. 2 and 2 green for a 5/5 Phyrexian Beast. It enters the battlefield with 4 oil counters on it. Evolved Spinoderm has trample as long as it has 2 or fewer oil counters on it. Otherwise, it has hexproof. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove an oil counter from it. Then if it has no oil counters on it, sacrifice it. So when you first start with it, it's a 4 mana 5/5 with hexproof. Then after 2 turns, it gets trample. Weird. And then we already read the Defector Might. Cool. All right, last 10. We are at 2 hours, 4 minutes. We're about to wrap this up. We got 2 new cards. All right. Actually, have we seen the Archfiend? We have not seen Archfiend of Dross. We have 3 cards. Archfiend of the Dross. 2 and 2 black. Actually, have we seen the Seed Core? We haven't seen the Seed Core. We're going to start with the Seed Core. Land, Sphere, tap, add a colorless. Right? Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast Phyrexian creature spells. And the Corrupted is tap, target 1/1 gets +2/+1 until end of turn. Activate. Have we seen that one? I don't think we have. Alright, so whatever. Archfiend of the Dross. 2 and 2 black for 6/6 Phyrexian Demon with flying. Archfiend of the Dross enters the battlefield 4 oil counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove an oil counter from it. Then if it has no oil counters on it, you lose the game. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, its controller loses 2 life. 4 mana 6/6 flying is pretty decent. It would hurt to lose it to a removal spell. But proliferating the oil counters on this to keep it around longer so that you can keep swinging in the air seems really good. And it's not even legendary. So you could have 2 of these on the field and be swinging for it. Big damage. Malcator Purity Overseer. 1 white and a blue for a 1/1. Phyrexian Elephant Wizard. Interesting creature combination. When Malcator Purity Overseer enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. At the beginning of your end step, if 3 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control this turn, create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. That seems good. It seems like a pretty solid card. I like it. And the final card that we are going to read, Dragon Wing Glider, 3/2 red for an artifact equipment that has 4 Mirrodin. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has flying and haste equipped for 3 and 2 red. And that is everything. So again, I will probably just add it into the description of this video to let you know what percentage of the set we found like this, right? Percentage wise, how much of it we unlocked for unique cards. And because again, hopefully I'll have that information tomorrow. But I did take a picture of how many wild cards we started with. Remember, we opened 100 packs and we started with 51 commons. We had 7 uncommons when we started. So let's see, commons, we've gained 27, but for uncommon, we got 43. That is a huge amount of uncommons to get. It's weird that we got more uncommon wild cards than commons. And then we went from 112 rares to 131. So we got 19 of those. And we went from 28 mythic rares to 36. So we only got 8 mythic rares in 100 packs. That's what we got. And yeah, that's man, that's everything. We can, I don't know, pop open the deck real quick. See how many more new cards we missed. Or if it'll just show everything. It looks like it's just showing everything because we read a lot of these already. But yeah, I'm going to call it there. I hope you liked the video. Again, please let me know if you did like it. Or if there are any cards that really stood out to you that maybe you would like to see me build a deck around. Again, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to spend my wild cards so you don't have to spend yours. I can try out a deck for you. I'm more than willing and more than happy to give it a shot. Again, it will be with my budget restrictions though. 4 rare/mythics in a deck total. That's it. Oh man, seeing this, I don't think we got the white Obliterator, which I really wanted. Or I think it's called the Vindicator. And I really want to play around with that card. Let me just look it up real quick. Yep, Phyrexian Vindicator. We didn't get it. 4 white for 5/5 Phyrexian Horror Flying. If damage would be dealt to Phyrexian Vindicator, prevent that damage. When damage is prevented that way, Phyrexian Vindicator deals that much damage to any other target. Fucking nuts card. But again, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you stayed all the way to the end, I don't even know what I hope. I hope you'll join me for more then. And yeah, whenever a new set gets released, I will plan on doing this again. And yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. Hope you guys have a nice day.